Ever wanted to drive straight for over an hour without hitting anything? Or explore an island so huge you wouldn't finish it in a day? Today, we're checking out the biggest map mods in BeamNG Drive. But before we jump in, only about 15% of you watching are subscribed, so if you enjoy these videos, consider subscribing. I spend hours making them, and your support really helps. Thanks. Alright, let's start with the first map mod, Lands of Sands. And what's actually pretty surprising is that this entire map is only about 245 megabytes in size, which is extremely small considering how massive it is. As the name already suggests, this map is basically a huge desert filled with sand terrain. It also comes with around 20 different spawn points, and I started right here in this small city. If you fly up a bit, you can immediately see that the city is actually pretty well made. The plants fit the desert environment really nicely, and the whole place is located right next to the ocean. The houses themselves are fairly large. Nothing too crazy in terms of detail, but definitely good enough for a map of this size. Right next to the city, there's also a small racetrack. It looks more like something made for go-karts or smaller cars, but it's still a cool little addition. And along the coast, there's also a small airfield with a fence around it, a control tower, and even a helicopter landing pad. And trust me, if you actually want to explore this entire map, you'll probably need something fast like a plane, because a normal car just won't cut it. But for now, let's drive around a bit. I spawned in a dune buggy and started cruising along this highway. Oh, there's even a gas station here. Pretty cool, but this road honestly feels endless. Since we're in a buggy, we can also take it off-road. So I drove straight up one of these sand dunes. It actually looks amazing just driving towards the horizon with nothing but sand around you. But here's the crazy part. I drove for about 3 minutes straight and literally didn't find anything. So I opened the map to see how far I had actually gone. And it turns out I was still basically near the starting area. That's when you realize just how massive this map really is. So instead of driving forever, let's try another spawn point. I decided to spawn at a place called Natural Valley. And this area actually looks really nice. We spawn right next to a small shop with items visible in the windows, which is a pretty cool detail. This part of the desert honestly looks even better in my opinion. There's more vegetation, and in the distance it almost looks like a forest. When I flew over there, I actually found a tiny village hidden between the trees and sand dunes. So I spawned the buggy again and imagined what it would be like if this was your daily commute. Just leaving your driveway in the morning, blasting through sand, palm trees, and bushes in your buggy while drifting around trying to find the asphalt road again. It's actually really fun to drive around here. The map overall looks really good, but there are still a few more places to check out. So next I spawned near Midtown, which is pretty central on the map. And surprisingly, there's actually another small village here. Lots of nice desert houses, but not a single paved road in sight. And that's still not everything. There's also a huge city on another part of the map, a small dam leading into the ocean, a massive bridge crossing the sea, and even a large harbor where cargo ships could theoretically dock. If you want, you can try to guess in the comments how long it would take to drive, or even sail, around this entire map. Next up, I just want to quickly mention this map. It's honestly not the most exciting one, but I still wanted to include it in this video because of its massive size. This is an Antarctica map, and the whole thing is only about 120 megabytes. There's basically just a small spawn area with a few buildings. Some of them even have missing textures or small visual bugs, but that's not really a big deal since the map isn't really about the buildings anyway. So I grabbed a car and started driving around. One cool detail you can actually notice is that the exhaust smoke looks much stronger, which fits pretty well with the freezing Antarctic environment. And of course, since everything is covered in snow, the roads are pretty slippery too. Apart from that, the map is mostly just a huge snowy landscape, but it's definitely big enough if you just want a massive open area to drive around in. Next up, we have Sky Road Archipelago, and this map is actually really cool. It's basically a large island with beaches all around the outside, while the inside of the island is much more mountainous and covered in dense forests. To start things off, I grabbed the Lamborghini Huracan and took it for a drive on some of the paved roads across the island. While driving around, I quickly came across this small airfield with an old airplane parked next to the runway. Of course, I had to send the Lambo down the runway and do a quick acceleration run. In the middle of the island, there's also a large lake which is connected to the ocean by a river. There are a couple of really nice bridges crossing that river as well, which look pretty cool while driving across them. Right next to the lake, there's also a nice little house with what looks like a small camping area, which fits the whole nature vibe of the map really well. There are also quite a few off-road trails around the island, but I definitely didn't want to take the Lambo there. It probably wouldn't survive that. But the terrain looks really good, with lots of trees and natural scenery, and you can easily just drive straight through the forest if you want. While exploring off-road, I also discovered another small airfield hidden in the forest. Unfortunately, I didn't have any airplane mods enabled at the moment. By the way, we actually made a plane mod video before, so if you're interested in flying in BeamNG Drive, you should definitely check that out. Instead, I used this helicopter and flew over the island to get a better look at the map. From above, you can really see how many trees there are and how big the island actually is. While flying around, I also noticed a small, lonely island in the distance, so I flew over there with the helicopter. It actually looks pretty cool as well, and if you look even closer, there's another remote island further away where you can teleport to, which even has an abandoned airfield. There's even a small town with houses that fit really nicely into the environment, plus a sawmill nearby with a couple of construction sites next to it. Overall, this map feels really detailed and very nature-focused. And the beaches around the island are also really nice, with small props like houses and little piers along the coast. Honestly, this map is really well made. Next up, we have Roane County, Tennessee, USA. This map is actually very old at this point, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But despite its age, it's still one of the biggest maps ever made for BeamNG Drive. One thing you immediately notice is how packed it is. There are tons of houses, multiple towns, and a huge network of roads connecting everything. And that's also why the map is pretty large in terms of file size, coming in at around 1.1 gigabytes. Because the map is so old, the textures and models definitely show their age. For example, here at this drive-in theater, you can see it pretty clearly. When you get close to the buildings, the quality just looks a bit outdated. But even though the assets are old, the attention to detail is still really impressive. The world feels full, and there's always another road, another town, or another area to explore. So if you're just looking for a map where you can drive around for a long time without caring too much about modern graphics, this is still a great one to try. And with that, let's move on to the next map. At first glance, you might think this is just West Coast USA from BeamNG, but that's actually not the case. If we fly up with the free camera for a moment, you can immediately see what's going on here. This map actually combines 4 different BeamNG maps into one. We have West Coast USA, Utah, East Coast USA, and Jungle Rock Island, all merged together into a single massive map. I'm not going to go through each of these maps individually since you already know them, but the transitions between them are actually done really well. The creator used things like cliffs, bridges, and terrain changes to connect everything together in a pretty natural way. One really cool addition is the highway from West Coast USA. Normally it just ends at the tunnel on the edge of the map. But here, the highway actually continues out over the ocean and eventually loops back around, creating a full highway circuit. And honestly, that's something that always bothered me about the original West Coast map. You had this huge highway, but it only went from one side of the map to the other and then just stopped. With this version, you can actually keep driving in a loop for a long time. Another nice thing is that you don't have to choose which of these 4 maps you want to play anymore. You can just spawn here and have them all in one place. The only downside is the longer loading time, but considering the download size is still under 300 megabytes, it's actually a really impressive map. Those were some of the biggest map mods you can get for BeamNG Drive. Let me know in the comments which map was your favorite, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.